What is going on, Colts Nation? Your guys, Derek and Cody, with you, recapping the first day of the 2023 NFL Draft for the Indianapolis Colts. And the Colts have officially found their guy. With the fourth pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Indianapolis Colts have selected quarterback Anthony Richardson from the University of Florida. This came after the top two picks were Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud. So it left the Colts with a decision to make, and they decided that Anthony Richardson was the best way to go, which, I mean, seemed surprising. But, I mean, at the same time, we just saw, Cody, I mean, nobody took the option on Will Levis. Nope. So clearly there was a huge disparity from where people actually thought Will Levis would go versus what every NFL team thought of him going into this process.
Yeah, absolutely. It was crazy, like, now seeing, like, Levis wasn't even a day one pick. How crazy that is.
That's crazy.
Like, the fact that we were debating that now just seems crazy. Like,
yeah, it's like, what did we miss here? Like,
yeah, I mean, exactly. So, I mean, that kind of tells you that, that was the smoke screen of all smoke screens. I mean, my goodness. That was crazy. But, yeah, as far as it goes for Richardson, it was interesting because Morocco Brown talked about it all the way back in, I believe, August or September of last year, how he was down at Florida and he saw Anthony Richardson and he was just like, man, he fell in love instantly. And Ballard, I think, even said the Colts fell in love with Richardson and they had the decision made like a month ago.
So they knew. And Ballard's like been dodging the bullet. He's been like dodging the reports because he's like, we know who we want, but we're trying to dodge the smoke screen here of trying to, tip our hand when it comes to knowing it because, I mean, I could agree that sometimes Ballard and company don't know who exactly they want until it gets closer to the draft. But for someone you knew you wanted for a long time and yet you're hearing all these reports of, oh, we heard you guys want Levis. Well, where the hell did you hear that?
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I mean, he's like trying to tell you guys people are lying. People are lying about this stuff. And clearly a lot of people were lying because Will Levis didn't even get taken to the first round. But like you said, with Anthony Richardson, Morocco Brown, who's been following this guy for practically a year now, like he said, I wish you could see the workout that I'm seeing from Richardson back in August of last year. And, of course, Morocco Brown's been the guy that has been following Anthony Richardson through this whole process. He was at his pro day. He was the only Colts representative who was actually there. And he said, I've been sending Ballard his tape and some of the things I've been seeing, and I'm like, and the Colts scouts have been saying, and which in a video we're going to discuss with the live presser here in a minute, he was talking about how, like, there's not many people like an Anthony Richardson.
He said it's like he's a generational type talent that comes along every
50 years.
Yeah. He said 15 or 50. But regardless, it's a big claim to make. And basically was saying, like, this guy is going to be the best player in the draft. Like, we got the best player in the draft. Ballard even said that. Again, Richardson's 20 years old, right? But the talent and the ceiling with this guy, it's on another level. Like, we have talked so many times, I've talked to so many people who say, man, I know Levis is a little bit of I know that Richardson is a big gamble, but the potential payoff, it's through the roof. Like, the potential payoff is he's a top quarterback in the NFL. Like, not just a top 10, a top quarterback in the NFL. Again, 20 years old, 13 starts. There are a lot of questions around a guy like Anthony Richardson. But the talent, Derek, is undeniable. I mean, all these guys had talent, but Anthony Richardson, it was like all these guys had high ceilings. Anthony Richardson's ceiling, you don't even know where the ceiling is.
It could literally, I mean, you hear everyone talk about it and say that his ceiling could literally be the best quarterback in the entire NFL. That's how elite this kid is from an athletic standpoint. And we're talking about it, right, with Chris Ballard. Ballard was in a situation where he had to do something with this because his job is on the line. And with these quarterbacks kind of being in the situation where you may not 100% know if any of these guys are going to pan out like 10 years down the line.
Yeah.
That's where we're kind of at. Like, this quarterback class could be that, but we don't know. So it's like, shoot for the stars.
Exactly.
Aim for the guy that has the highest potential to go out of it. And if Richardson doesn't pan out, then you know he just wasn't meant to be a quarterback. Right. Not the fact that he wasn't talented, not the fact that you couldn't do it. It's just the fact it just wasn't meant to be. And if Ballard ends up leaving because of that or gets canned because of it, at least he took the biggest swing possible, aiming for the fences, trying that piece. And, Anthony Richardson, again, like we said, guys, is a huge prospect. He's a guy that has the least experience, the least amount of coaching, and a lot of different perspectives because he wasn't given the same circumstances a lot of these guys. Even Will Levis has had so much more coaching from a scout and pro perspective than Anthony Richardson has. So you're in a situation where the Colts, obviously the numbers speak for themselves and the athletics speak for themselves. And talking with this kid who, in his spare time used to be a volunteer fireman, a guy that was willing to risk his life to save others, in those sort of situations. I mean, this is a kid that has a great head on his shoulders. And I said it from like 2 months ago, Cody, when I hopped on the Anthony Richardson hype train. This kid, to me, is the ultimate human sponge. To me, mixing him with Shane Steichen, I think long-term success, he's going to get the most out of Shane Steichen's learning and his scheme and everything else, and just what Shane Steichen can teach him and the staff around him can teach him, especially with he has a relationship with Gardner Minshew, the quarterback already on the roster. Yep. He's had him as a mentor and all these other guys. So just thinking of what Anthony Richardson can be is just unbelievable to think about.
It really is. And I like what you said about swinging for the fences, basically. With Ballard, the question was and that was an argument for people that had Levis above Richardson. They're like, Levis is more he's more ready to go, start day one. Now, the good news with where the Colts currently are is they do have Gardner Minshew, who is, I think, a nice bridge quarterback in there, if you deem that Richardson isn't ready. Now, Richardson said he's going to do everything possible, right, to be ready to be the starter for week one, right? That's his goal. And, he's just so young. It's just he's just oozing with talent, man. And I think it's so interesting. You brought in Steichen, even though you wouldn't say that's the main reason you brought in Steichen. You brought in a guy to develop a rookie quarterback, a guy who has a track history of developing young passers, especially Jalen Hurts, who was more of a project as well, right, in that second round. And the Eagles took a chance on him, and then in a couple of years, you see the turnaround that he had. And so you take the guy with the huge upside, an upside we haven't seen, Derek, maybe ever in terms of the quarterback, and you take that risk. And if it doesn't pan out, it may not pan out.
It might not.
But you talk about it, man, this guy's going to be 21 by the time the season starts.
21.
By the time he's looking for a second contract, he's not even going to be 25 years old. Yeah. That's crazy. So for me, it makes a lot of sense for the Colts to go this direction and, just kind of pair that young rookie coach with a young and experienced quarterback, but let him do what you brought him in to do. Yes. Right. And also, if you spend all that time with a guy like Steichen, who, you spent and you deemed he is the best guy, the best candidate for this position, I think you have to put your money where your mouth is, right? And say, all right, we're getting you the most talented guy clearly out of all these quarterbacks. Get him where he needs to be. And you put your faith in that guy, you put your eggs in that basket, and in a couple of years you look back and, at least you took a chance, and I think it's a good pairing. A lot of people have said, man, that Richardson in Steichen's system could be lethal. And you just think about some of those players in this offense. I mean, Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson, talk about some physical freaks right there, man.
I saw somebody even say, an Anthony Richardson dynamic with Jonathan Taylor might actually extend the longevity of a Jonathan Taylor as well, because you're able to play off of Jonathan Taylor, but use Anthony Richardson's athletic ability the same way the Eagles did with Jalen Hurts this last year with Shane Steichen. I could see that being the thing. It was crazy because, remember, we talked about this earlier in the day. We said, isn't it funny that for so long we said the Colts should probably trade up because we were afraid of somebody else taking that jump and getting Anthony Richardson for the same reason that we did, right? And then, of course, here we are now. Colts didn't have to trade at all.
Yep.
Still went and were able to get Anthony Richardson at 4.
Yep.
Thankfully, due to the fact that the Houston Texans traded up to number 3 along with having the 2nd overall pick. So therefore, they saved us from having to worry about that.
Yes.
So, I mean, obviously, the Colts in the situation that they were in at number 4 made the correct decision here. And it was proven by the fact that all these other teams, after the Colts didn't take Will Levis, nobody else did. So clearly there's a huge disparity between Levis and where the other guys stand.
Yep.
And of course, I even said it in the live stream, man, like this first year with Richardson, it's going to be a year, guys. It's going to be a year of ups and downs. And there probably will be a few more downs than ups. It's going to be one of those times because, like we said, Richardson's going to be 21. He's only had 13 games of game time experience, but he's a kid that needs that game time experience to get better.
Yep.
And he didn't have all that coaching in college. He didn't have quarterback coaching back then because he didn't have a quarterback coach. So he was basically being self-taught or whatever else his head coach could potentially teach him while trying to lead an offense that didn't have a lot of talent.
Yeah,
so it's like, this is a kid, and I liked what you said earlier. You said he's not stuck in his ways.
Right.
He's not stuck in his ways. He's a kid that doesn't have a way yet. He's just doing whatever he can to try and win games. It may kill him. It may end up just losing games, or it may pay off one way or the other. But you now have a structure. You have a structure with a good offensive crew that can now sit this kid in a room for hours and hours breaking down film, which he probably hasn't done a ton of, and be able to dissect things. And that's going to help him so much after 1 year in the system. And we've seen it every year. Shane Steichen, that when that first year to that second year, you see that jump. For whatever quarterback he's worked with, that second year jump, it is adamant. Yeah. So this year, folks, don't expect the Anthony Richardson that we can get. Wait until 2024, Anthony Richardson, and wait and see what Shane Steichen can do with him then. But, I mean, I'm excited, Cody. I think Anthony Richardson was a great pick. I don't think that the Colts could have worked this any better than what they did. I'm glad that we didn't have to give anything up and still got the quarterback that we wanted.
Yeah, for sure. And, in not doing that, there's still a lot of good players available, right, in day 2. I mean, players that we had we did not think there was a chance they would fall to day 2, but here we are. And there's available, and the Colts have, the 4th pick in the 2nd round. They have pick 35, right, because there's only 31 picks because of the Dolphins thing. But going back to Richardson real fast, I just wanted to kind of talk about this, right? You talk about, what the Colts are looking for, what Shane Steichen kind of said about Jalen Hurts and Justin Herbert and Phillip Rivers, the guys that he worked for, right, and he worked under and helped, develop those 2 rookies, those 2 young guys. Just the work that they're going to put in, right? The work that those guys put in. He said, with Jalen Hurts, I knew he wasn't going to fail because of the preparation and the thing that he was going to do. Now, saying that makes you just think, that was my biggest question, is Anthony Richardson has all the talent in the world. Where is he in the head? Where is his head?
Yeah, where is his mindset?
Where is his mindset? Is he going to be a guy, he says those things, but talk is cheap, right? And so, that gives me a lot of, confidence that the Colts feel like Richardson is just raw, and that's it. He's got everything. Guy. Yeah, he's a football guy, right? Because we've heard so much about Levis being a football guy as well, and teammates raving about him, all that stuff, right? But that, for me, is encouraging because it tells me that's the type of guy the Colts are getting. Because they wouldn't take a guy if they didn't fully believe that he was committed and fully ready to get better as a player.
Yeah.
Right. And that was kind of my biggest question is is he just a guy that was going to be talent alone? Right. And try to beat everybody with his talent. Because we've seen players like that. Right. We saw a guy like DeMarcus Russell years ago. Best, most talented guy we've ever seen, pretty much. But did not have the work ethic.
Did not care at all.
Didn't care. And Richardson does not seem like that guy. So I think that is always the biggest question mark is the character. Right. How's he going to be? How's he going to respond? How's he going to come back from those? He'll have hiccups. How's he going to come back from those, right? Yeah. And the fact that the Colts had a top 30 visit with him, with all the other quarterbacks, and they still felt like he was the guy, even and plus the talent, that is so exciting. in itself. And, I've said this before, man, if you're bad this year with Richardson, I'd rather be bad with a young, talented guy than a 38-year-old quarterback. And, hey, you get more talent around him next year. But
exactly.
in the chance that he's really good, like, you never know, he can start coming on in the second half of the season or something.
Yeah.
Like, that is just wild. And now you can start to actually do it the way that you've been trying to do it for years. And this is the first time there's actually some hope, like, for the future at quarterback for the Colts. So it's really exciting, man. It's really exciting that the Colts have finally made a decision. They have a guy on a 4-year deal now, a rookie deal, and they can build around him.
Yeah, I mean, again, it just goes to show. I mean, Ballard, which we're about to react to this press conference, but Ballard and Steichen, I mean, they were all smiles. I mean, it just goes to show you this is the route they wanted to take from the beginning. I mean, clearly they figured Bryce was going to be gone. They figured CJ was going to be gone, and they figured this was the route that they wanted to go. If you had a guy that you could bet on for 10 plus years, might be raw. But this is a kid that is young, and he's got a lot of learning and time ahead of him.
Yes.
I mean, the fact that he's only going to be 21 when this season starts, like you said, he's going to be 25 and looking for a new contract.
Man.
I mean, and then that's the sort of thing where, like, you can give this kid a 5-year contract, and he's still going to only be 30 years old.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, and then you can give him another contract if he's good. So it's like there's so many opportunities for Anthony Richardson in a way. So it's great to see. And like you said, at the end of the day, it's all about, what does Shane Steichen do with him?
Yeah.
Does he become the kind of player just from everything I've heard about him, listening to him speak and all of these things, I mean, at the end of the day, I listen to him. I just I think this kid's got a great head on his shoulders. Yeah. I think he really is passionate about the game of football because it stems further beyond football. I mean, he's committed in everything that he does in life. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think that this is a kid that's going to go in there because and just feel like he's on the top of the world, because I don't think he feels that way at all. I think he knows where he is and knows he's got a lot of work ahead of him. Yeah. I think he's prepared to take that on, and that's what you want. You want football guys. You want high character guys. That's what Shane Steichen said on Pat McAfee's show the other day. And, I mean, I think it's safe to say Ballard wanted Richardson probably for a while, but when Steichen came in, he even said it 2 weeks into Steichen coming in, was saying there's not a lot of guys like Anthony Richardson. Yeah. So I think they bought in pretty quickly.
Yeah. And he's obviously he's very raw. We know this. It's not going to be an instant thing, but he is confident, man. He's confident in what he can do as a player. He's not going to be a Hall of Famer someday. Hey. And I like that kind of confidence. I like that swagger.
Yeah.
He's bringing something the Colts haven't had in a long time. He's bringing, maybe ever, Derek, since maybe Manning. Like, they're bringing a quarterback that, like, I just feel like he's going to be – he has the potential to be special. Like, I really do think he does. Now, will he be? That's up to him, right? But he has that potential. And this is like, for as much as Colts fans, we have suffered and we have wanted a franchise guy. We have something to believe in. We have something to hope in for the first time in, like, 5 years. To be honest, like we do.
Yeah.
It's about time, man. So I this is one of those picks that, like, this is the first time I've seen Colts Nation pretty unanimously love that pick. So
couple people may be like, oh yeah, I kind of preferred somebody else, I mean, and if you'd seen my reaction in the live stream, I was really praying for CJ Stroud. I kind of wish that would have been a thing, but at the end of the day, that's just how it has to be. And, at the end of the day, you have to be thankful for what you get. And Anthony Richardson, if you watched him when he got drafted, it was very emotional, very happy to be with Indianapolis. Clearly, he's ready to go to work, and I can't wait to hear more from him and see how he continues to grow. Obviously, he's 20 years old. It's kind of hilarious. He's only 5.5 years younger than you and I, which is pretty insane,
that's crazy,
to say the least. But, that's going to do it for this one, guys. This is our immediate reactions to us selecting Anthony Richardson, number 4 overall. There will be more content coming out on Anthony Richardson in the following weeks. No question about it.
And, hey, we got 2 more days of this
stuff. We got 2 more days, man. We got more picks coming. Again, guys, we're going to be live streaming the entire draft, so make sure you go and check us out tomorrow night and Saturday as well. we'll be continuing to break down these picks as they come along. And like Cody said just a few minutes ago, there's a lot more players left in this second and third round that really open up a lot of doors for the Indianapolis Colts. There's a lot of different ways to attack this, and hopefully the Indianapolis Colts will get some players that they really, truly want. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Let us know your thoughts. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, go Colts.